So today I wanted to do a quick review of the GoPro 10 for kite surfers. If you don't want to watch the video and you just want to cut to the chase, basically this is the best GoPro they've made yet. I wouldn't recommend going anything older than a 9 or 10 because I really love the max lens mod, and I'll talk about that later. If you're a bit more budget conscious and you can find a 9 for a good price, you probably won't notice all of the differences between the 9 and 10, but really this is the best GoPro they've made yet, and it's a great tool for kite surfers. So let's get into the details. First, let's start with the things that I like about it. I love the extra resolution. So GoPros are really good at shooting wide angle, super close stuff. So they really get that point of view. They're not as good about getting stuff that's a little bit further away. The extra resolution that this camera has, the 5K, it allows you afterwards to kind of zoom in a little bit more and get closer to the action. And I find that super helpful. Next, I like the new lens. So both of them have a removable lens. You can remove the lens like that. And I think this is huge. I beat up my gear, I scratch my lenses. I don't want to have to buy a new camera each time that I do that. Basically, you scratch the lens, you can spend 20 bucks, you can get a replacement lens, and then you're good to go. The other thing I like about this lens, the new one on the 10, is they put a scratch-proof and waterproof coating on it. For those of you that have ridden with the GoPro before, water drops are not your friends. And so water drops will ruin all of your footage. And you're constantly fidgeting, licking the camera, dipping the camera. And I actually found the new waterproof coating pretty good. Basically, it prevents the water drops from ruining as much of my footage as it has in the past. So the other interesting thing about this lens, since it's removable, is they actually have an alternative lens you can use. It's called the Max Lens Mod. That worked on the GoPro 9 as well, but basically the Max Lens Mod gives you a wider field of view, so it's a bit more immersive. And then the other thing that it does is you can rotate the camera basically 360 degrees, and then it allows for this feature called Horizon Lock. So no matter how you tilt the camera, even completely upside down, everything will stay right side up in the camera. This is super useful when you line mount your GoPro to your kite, because your GoPro will be mounted like this. And then as your kite turns, your GoPro will keep turning upside down, right side up, upside down, right side up. And with this new feature, your footage will always be right side up. Next, the GoPro 10 has a faster chip inside, and the short version is the camera's just faster. The touch screen's a little bit quicker to operate. It makes it a little bit more likely for you to get that shot. And past GoPros, they've been a little bit fidgety. Another feature I like, this one I think was in the GoPro 9 as well, which are the shortcuts. So you're able to preset shortcuts. I do some for point of view, action, super slow-mo, cinematic. And these shortcuts make changing settings quite a bit faster. So I enjoy that. Stabilization has been really good in the GoPro since the 6 or 7, but it got even better in this one. When you're cruising, it's basically like you have a gimbal on, so your footage is always stable. And then last, the higher frame rates. I don't shoot a ton past 60 frames or 120 frames a second, but it's nice to have them. So the higher frame rates in this camera, it goes up to 120 and 240 in many of the different resolutions. Now for the things that I don't love about the GoPro 10, first the price, it's almost 500 bucks. Next, I've had some SD card issues with the camera. So I had a SanDisk SD card in here and I had the camera freeze a few times. I lost some footage. I switched back to a Samsung SD card and everything went away, but not super confidence inspiring. Next thing I don't love about the GoPro 10, the audio options are still pretty terrible. They make a media mod, which is this big case that has a mic input, an extra onboard microphone, and the quality's not great. They make a mic adapter, which is this kind of dongle, big square dongle. Neither are great options because the camera's not waterproof. Other thing I don't like, the Max Lens Mod I mentioned gives you this bigger field of view, and it does it with a really curved lens. The one downside to that lens is it actually gets a lot more water drops on it than the other lenses. So water drops aren't a problem with the new lens, but they are a problem with the Max Lens Mod, which is a bit of a bummer. Last thing I don't like about it, it's bigger and it's heavier. They put a bigger battery in it, which is nice for battery life, but when it's in your line mounts, I notice it kind of sagging and putting weight on the line mount, which, you know, on super light wind days isn't great. Let's talk about some of the ways that I use the GoPro 10 when I'm kiting. First, point of view footage. So that's, you know, facing this way, filming me kite. Oftentimes I'm using a mouth mount, so it's upside down. I bite on the mouth mount. Wherever I look, the camera looks. So I have that set up with a mouth mount. In terms of settings, I'm usually filming at 5K or 4K, usually 60 frames a second in case I want to slow things down. And the big one here is the super view. So the super view setting is the widest angle setting you can get. So you get as much of your surroundings in the picture and you get the most immersive experience. The next type of shooting I'll do with it outside of point of view is selfie. So very similar settings. You can just hold the camera, point it back at yourself. Sometimes if you want to go a step further and put it on a selfie stick, you can, but I use those same settings when I'm doing some kind of selfie type shots. Third type of shooting that I'm doing is really shooting other people. So for this, let's say that I'm kiting and people are doing tricks in front of me and I want to get that on film. I'll change up the settings a little bit. I'll still shoot in the highest resolution possible, so 5K most of the time. I'll use the narrow lens so that I can get zoomed in as much as possible. And then I'll usually get that in 60 frames a second. That way, if someone does something incredible and I want to slow it down, I can. So that's really shooting other people doing action. The last type of filming that I do is really line mount filming. So I'll take the GoPro, I'll put it in a line mount, then I'll rig that line mount to my kite lines. The settings that I use, I swap out the lens and I put the max lens mod on, and then you have to turn on the max lens mod setting. And I'll put that on the highest resolution, so 2.5K, 60 frames a second. And remember to turn on horizon lock with that. There you have it. That's kind of the four main shots that I use the GoPro 10 for. Point of view, selfie, shooting action, and then the line mount setup. So yeah, that's all I have to say about the GoPro 10. I think this is the best one they've made yet. I'm looking forward to trying the cold weather batteries. I'm freezing right now. The battery on this keeps dying, and they released some new cold weather batteries for it. But if you've never used a GoPro before, this is the best one they've made. This is a great point to get into it. And if you want to save a few bucks, go for the GoPro 9.